Hilux. They're unbreakable, aren't they?
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Mods to the Hilux, and we're going to talk about the big thing on the roof that everyone's been asking me about. We'll get to that right now. The roof rack. There are 6 different categories attached to it. There are 18 individual items connected to this platform, not including the platform itself or the brackets. Let's get into it. Before we get into all the bits and pieces that are on top or attached to this roof rack, let's first discuss what roof rack it is. Well, you know it's a rhino rack. It's the flat platform. So I didn't want to go for the tradie one with the sides on it, and I didn't want to go for the basket style. You'll also note that I've gone for the backbone system instead of the roof bars. The roof bars are not that secure. The backbone system looks sleeker and it's going to hold your cargo better than the actual bars that sit on top of the roof. So I've got my mates from Quick Pitch Oz to help me mount the roof rack. It's a very simple process. Pull the rubber lining out, add the tracks which are made for each individual vehicle, drill some holes, put some rivets in, adjust the rack a little bit, and then mount it. Pretty much as simple as that. I would suggest having 2 to 3 blokes though, because it's a bit awkward to move around by yourself. With the setup that I've got on this Hilux, which is very similar to the Land Cruiser, it's got semi-permanent mounted stuff. So it's not like I'm just gonna have an empty rack and throw cargo on when I go on a trip. No, this is gonna have permanent stuff on here. The awning, the shower tent, the antenna, the lights, the Maxtrax, and I can still throw a swag on top if I wanted to, or some cargo boxes or whatever I want. That's pretty much why I chose this style of rack. And also with the bars running that way, the main bars, they're running up and down the vehicle. I don't really like the bars running across the other way. I find it harder to mount things. The security mesh, look, you can semi-permanently mount stuff to security mesh, but I find it a real pain in the ass because where you can mount things, it doesn't always work where you want to put it. So for example, you want to mount a gas bottle to a roof rack that has that security mesh, you're never going to get it where you want it, and you always want it in a corner or tucked away so you can make the most out of your roof rack. I just find that the platforms are much easier to work with and quicker. The question now is, do you actually really need a roof rack, like a rack, or do you just need roof bars? This is where a lot of people get caught out because they just buy an awning and then they think they need a $1,000 to $2,000 roof rack to hold that awning, and they're not really going to utilize the roof rack for anything else. That's where people make a big mistake, because if all you're putting on is an awning, a pair of Maxtrax or something like that, you only need a couple of roof bars. You don't need a whole roof rack. Someone who does need a roof platform or roof basket will be the long range tourer. When you're touring long range these days, especially if you've got the whole family with you, where are you going to put all your gear? That's where you need a roof rack. And you've got a wagon, you're probably going to want to put that stuff on the roof. If you've got a ute, you don't always need a roof rack. In my case, I'm using this load lid to hold swags and stuff I can easily get to. I don't want to be climbing up on a roof to get stuff down every single day. Getting up on a roof is actually a bit of a pain. That's why I've gone with the semi-permanent mounted stuff on my roof rack. All right, let's talk about what's on the roof rack. That's what all the questions have been lately. Now, it's been a long time coming because I've been waiting for individual items that are on here. For example, the shower tent over here and this awning here. It's a very short awning, as you can see, and let's open it up pretty soon. But you can see that I have 6 Maxtrax on the roof, 3 on either side. These Maxtrax are locked, and the reason why we've only got 2 pins, so they're much easier to get off. And because we're so close to the side, as you can see, there are 2 extreme tracks and 1 regular track. That's the same on both sides. Now, this regular track was in fact from that testing video. We tested all different tracks. This is the 6 Plus Abuse. This one has been over 90 degrees the wrong way. Easy off, easy back on. And that's from experience. On a Land Cruiser, I've got a similar setup. Yes, on corrugations, they will rattle around and make a bit of noise, but on corrugations, everything makes a noise anyway. But if noise bothers you and things rattling around, use 4 pins. This is just a flat bar, which we've drilled 2 holes in. 3 holes in fact. We put the Maxtrax pin in it and that holds them opposites like that. Why 6? Because I tow a lot, and just having those extra 2 can make a real difference. Because when you're using all 4 tracks, you've only got that much to run on and then you're off. Sometimes having the extra track up ahead, it's going to be so much more helpful, especially when you've got a trailer as well, because then the trailer can pop up as well.
And that's my reasoning for having 6. It doesn't mean that you need 6. All you need is 2 or maybe 4.
The next piece of hardware we can talk about is the antenna on the roof. This is a 2.1 dBi antenna paired with my GME radio inside the cab. Now the reason why I put it on the roof and not on the bull bar is because the range up here is superior. I've got superior casting all around, and it's on a flip down bracket, so I can put it down as well if I want to go for the drive-through. On the front here we got 6 strikers, 6 light force strikers. The amount of light that comes out of these is phenomenal. As you can see, there is a ton of light on the roof. We'll talk about that more in this segment with all the lighting and the comms. That's where I've mounted them. They're all on light force brackets as well, and they're all mounted in this front channel right here. But the amount of light that comes out of these, it's definitely overkill, but I like it. A lot of light. The next piece of the roof rack is the shower tent by Quick Pitch Oz, the Quick Ensuite. Now I've got the exact same thing on the Land Cruiser, and absolutely love this thing. Any trip I do with the kids, this gets pulled out all the time. Change room, toilets, just like that. Here we go. Now this is an updated version. It's got 2 entries. Before they only used to have 1 entry. Still got to adjust the height because the vehicle's just been lifted. So there you go, straight in. Probably one of my favorite mods on my Cruiser is now on my Hilux as well. And straight out. And the cool thing is, my water supply is just in here, inside the tub. So it's just a matter of plugging that in, and then I've got a shower. Once we get the water supply finished, that is. But the best thing about it is how quick you can actually pack this up. I honestly think if I could only choose this or an awning, it'll be a shower tent over an awning. Because you can always get an annex, right? Time for the awning. Now this one is shorter than my height, which is really cool. I spotted this after searching for ages on the web. I ended up finding it on YouTube of all places, and it's 23.0. This one was mounted to a rooftop tent, and I watched a video with the guy pulling it out, and I thought that's a bloody great idea because look how compact it is, right? Now, obviously it's not going to have as much coverage as other awnings do, but you'll be surprised how much it does have. And this is specially ordered in from the US because they're not sold in Australia, although maybe after this video they might be. Second time I'm setting it up. Third time I'm opening the bag. So you've got 2 arms that go out this way, 2 that go that way. Oh, there they are, they're both there. All right, so it's a 180 awning. Now we need those straps. Front strap. And that can go around to this side, onto the bull bar mount. That's tight. That's half the awning set up. The other half. Now this is something that took me a while to work out because of my load lid. It's got to work while the load lid's open too. So I'm going to put this over onto the backbone there. Pull that tight. And then what I figured out was if I open my load lid like that, now it's nice and taut. Check that out. So as you can see, there's not a great deal of length in the shade. You got to be conscious of where the sun is. So there's enough room for a swag. So if it rains, at least I've got some cover. If I'm at the beach, at least I've got some shade. And that's all I wanted. It was a little bit of shade. Now this will definitely not be for most people out there. You probably want a bigger awning, but this is what I like. I don't like the big, heavy 30 kilo things hanging off the side of your vehicle. This one here was about 16 kilos, I think. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have legs here if we need to lift it up a bit. I'm going to definitely order some walls. I'm not sure if you've got to get like a long stretch because I only see one zipper. but hopefully just like a little bit. All you need is just that one sort of side covered, so you've still got an entry, and having that extra bit and pull it out on a 45-degree angle, you're going to increase your shade and also block the wind. Pros and cons with having this style of roof rack. Providing you put nothing on it, you're only going to suffer a little bit in your economy because it's a flat platform. But the thing is, if you've got a roof rack on your vehicle, you're going to use it. So you are going to suffer in fuel economy. We'll move that to cons, we'll get to that. But this style of platform here, being modular and having all these slats with all these channels in it, you can mount stuff anywhere you like, pretty much, like I've done here. I've got stuff on the edges, I've got 2 lights on the back, I've got the antenna, you've seen what's on the roof, all the lights at the front here. And I can adjust all these and just move them little bits to the left or to the right, so it's pretty damn versatile. And as long as you have the channel nuts, sorry about the bloody birds, the cockatoos, so many here. As long as you have channel nuts, you can mount stuff anywhere you like pretty much. And these eyelets on the channel nuts, if you get this style of roof rack, these are actually a must if you want to mount stuff to it, like tie your swag down or whatever. It just makes it so much easier rather than wrapping the strap around the slats. And that's why I like this style of roof rack better than the security mesh ones, because they're an absolute nightmare when you try and strap stuff down, because you've got to get in between the roof and get your fingers down to pick things up. It's not that easy, especially when you've got a lot of stuff on your roof as well. Another pro, if you have a roof rack, you can put more cargo on it. You free up space elsewhere in your vehicle. I'd say that's pretty much all the pros. Look with the backbone system and how it looks mint. I like the look of it too. It doesn't look real big and bulky and overhang too much. That's the pros. Now to the cons. Fuel economy. Yes, let's talk about that. Increase my fuel usage by 1/2 litre per 100 when I put the rack on, just with the Maxtrax. Once I put the lights on and the awning and this on, I'm now losing roughly 1 litre per 100. I'm using more when I'm driving around. So I was at, I'd say about 10 litres per 100. Now I'm at about 11, especially when I'm going faster. Other cons, I guess, is the fact that if you buy this rack, that's not where the cost ends. You need to buy all the little channel nut things to keep adding to your roof rack. So just keep that in mind. When you do buy a roof rack, doesn't matter what style it is, there's always more costs involved if you're going to use it as a semi-permanent mounted system like I have. If you're just buying a roof rack just to throw a swag on and off you go, well, you don't really need all the other extra bits and pieces of hardware.
A few more cons. More weights up high, so your center of gravity is now higher. If you put too much weight up the top there, it's not good. So you got to keep it within reason. Increased roof height. You may not fit inside that carport anymore. You may not fit in that underground car park either. That's another con.
Now to the surprising part, how much weight have I added to the Hilux? You won't believe this, but there is just shy of 80 kilos up here. Just shy of 80 kilos. So on your screen you'll see all the items. Now obviously the heaviest item being the rack itself, and then we have the awning as the next heaviest thing. It all adds up very fast.
Adding all parts up, this is the total tally of weight added. It adds up fast. 251 kilos.
One of the questions that people often ask, and I don't often cover, is the pricing. I'm going to cover that here. Recommended retail, I'm sitting on over $2,000, I reckon, once you add everything up. And I'm going rough here because we got the bracket here. This is a flip down bracket, brackets for the lights, the rack, the backbone system. It all adds up. So we're sitting on about 2K. And look, most roof racks you buy, you're going to be looking around that price anyway once you add all the accessories and stuff. So a roof rack is not a low cost item unless you go for one of the real cheap versions that's heavy steel and whatnot. Then you're putting a lot of weight on your roof. So when you're purchasing a roof rack, doesn't matter what you're getting, just make sure you actually need it. And I think After that discussion, we should move to the must-dos with your roof rack. The must-dos if you get a roof rack. And the first most important must-do for a roof rack is make the full use out of it. There's no point in having a roof rack and spending all that money on something you're not going to use. I think we can both agree that I've put this to maximum, absolute maximum use. So if you have a roof rack, make it count. The next must-do is keep everything as low as possible. So if you're transporting a swag, consider folding it instead of rolling it, because you can get it lower to the actual roof rack and you'll have less wind drag. Also, when you put like a big bag of like gear in it, sometimes even just the way you strap it down can keep it more low profile, because the roof rack's already hitting your fuel economy. The cargo on your roof is actually going to hit it even harder. My final must do, which I've spent a lot of time on this particular roof rack, was playing Tetris. So on a piece of paper, I'd drawn down what I was going to do. So take your time, plan your layout, and when you get the rack and you actually lay it on, you're going to realize that some things aren't going to go exactly where you wanted it or where you planned, and that's where you need to compromise a little bit. Also think about making your own flat bar brackets like I've done for the Maxtrax to make it work the way I wanted it to. So there's always other options. One thing a few guys are probably going to be asking me is, where is the solar panel going? Or are you not doing solar? Well, I don't have a rear power system yet, but it's coming. So the solar is not going to be up here. It's going to be a blanket that I already have. I'm going to fix that to the hard lid on the rear, because as I'm driving, the vehicle's going to charge itself. But when I park up at camp, I'm going to use the whole hard lid and put a blanket on it, because I'm going to carry my swag on the back that's going to come off. That's where the solar power is going to be. And I'll sort of cover that more when we talk about the rear power setup, which is going to be quite interesting, because I'm not doing what most people would do. I'm going to do a temporary solution, but we'll get to that along with the lights and the comms and the navigation in the next episode. So thanks for watching, and did the weights surprise you? Because it surprised the hell out of me.